So if you take a look at our logo, you will notice there is some Bulla and coffee because that is a huge part of Swedish culture. We're gonna cover these with a tea towel. We're going... Hey everyone, I'm Sav and this is Lagom Eats. In honor of Mother's Day, we're going to be making my husband's grandmother's Swedish buns. In Sweden, these are called Bulla. These are a staple in all of Swedish bakeries and homes. These Swedish pastries are soft and buttery and filled with vanilla. My mother-in-law got the recipe the last time she visited and translated it into English for me. So this is a legit, authentic Swedish bun recipe. You can put cinnamon or cardamom in the filling, but today we're just going to follow the basic recipe. Let's take a look at the ingredients. To make the dough, we're going to be using 4 2/3 cup of all-purpose flour, 1 2/3 cup of warm milk, 1/3 cup of sugar, 2/3 cup of melted butter, a packet of instant yeast, 1 egg, and 1 tablespoon of salt. For the filling, we're going to be using 1/4 cup of sugar, 1 tablespoon of vanilla sugar, and 1/4 cup of softened butter. We're gonna brush the buns with a beaten egg and top it with some pearl sugar. Let's get baking. Let's make our dough. So we will start with our flour. We're using 4 2/3 cup. Let's properly measure this here like I've taught you before. Spoon in your flour, fill it all the way up to the top, and then using the back of the knife, level it off. If we just scoop it out like that, we're gonna get way more flour, or it's gonna cause a dense and dry bun. Let's add in our sugar. We're using 1/3 cup here. Dump it in there. Add your instant yeast. If you're using active dry yeast, make sure you activate it before putting it in here. You can activate it in the warm milk and then add a few teaspoons of the sugar in there. Leave it to sit in there for about 10 to 15 minutes until it gets all bubbly. Let's add a tablespoon of our salt. Go ahead and give it a little mix, just to kind of mix it up a little bit. Doesn't have to be completely perfect. Let's pour in our melted butter. Remember, you don't want this scalding hot because it's gonna kill our yeast. We'll crack in our egg. Let's start mixing that. We're gonna slowly pour in our milk. Again, we want this about 80 to 90 degrees, not scalding hot, it'll kill our yeast. Slowly pour it in and let that mixer mix it all up. Let's let it mix. You can use a rubber spatula and get the flour down the sides so we incorporate all that flour. All right, so our dough is still pretty wet. We're gonna add in a bit more flour, and we're just gonna do like a tablespoon at a time. Let it mix up. I added more flour until we got it to this consistency where it's still kind of sticky, but it's like soft and kind of elastic and not super sticky. So that's the consistency you want. Translating it from Swedish to English measurements, they're a little off. So it's not gonna be perfect. I added quite a bit more flour, just so you guys know. All right, get out a mixing bowl. You're gonna spray some baking spray over this. All right, you're gonna take your dough and dump it out into your bowl. Right, and now we're gonna cover that with saran wrap and let it rise for about an hour. While our dough is resting, let's make our filling. So we're gonna put 1/4 cup of granulated sugar into our bowl. Now we're gonna use a tablespoon of vanilla sugar. Vanilla sugar is more popular in European kitchens, not as much in American kitchens. But the way you make this is take a couple cups of your sugar, put it in just like a Tupperware, and then take a vanilla bean pod, scrape out all the seeds and mix it in that sugar, and leave the pod in there for about a week. And then as you can see, there's those vanilla bean seeds all mixed in the sugar, and it tastes very vanilla-y. Let's dump that in. Got 4 tablespoons of softened butter. We're gonna put in there as well. All right, use a fork and we're going to mix this all up. You wanna make sure your butter is softened. So at this point, if you wanted to make cinnamon buns or cardamom buns, you can add some cinnamon or cardamom or both to this mixture. But like I said, we're just gonna follow the basic recipe today. So our dough has been resting for an hour and you can see that it has more than doubled in size. So we get to punch this thing down, which is a lot of fun. So just deflate all that air. All right, now we're going to just lightly flour your work surface. And you want a big board or do this directly on the counter because we're gonna roll this out to about the same size that this board is. Okay, we're gonna dump this out. Right, a little more flour on it. Take your rolling pin and we're gonna roll it out. So the recipe says 40 centimeters by 60 centimeters. So this board is like a little bit smaller than that, but that'll be all right. Ooh. All right, so our dough is rolled out. I trimmed up the sides a bit. We're gonna take that butter filling that we made and we're gonna spread it all over. Let's get it as even as possible. All right, so now we're gonna fold it in thirds. So we'll take this side, fold it inwards, the other side, and fold it. Take your rolling pin, just kind of roll it a bit. We're gonna cut them into 1-inch strips. I'm gonna start by cutting it in about half. Cut it in half again. So this is about 20 inches long. We're doing 20 strips. So each of these are gonna be 5. 1, 2. So as you can see, there's some layers in this now because we folded it and rolled it out. So it's almost like a laminated dough a little bit, but this is gonna create that flaky texture. All right, now we're gonna roll them. So you'll take one of your strips and you're gonna cut it in half almost all the way, but not quite. All right, like this. You want two little legs. Then you're gonna stretch it out a little bit. Hold it in your hands like this. Wrap it around 1 time, 2 times, kind of twisting the legs a bit. Hold it with your thumb and wrap it around the back. Tuck it under. So you're kind of gonna have a little ball like that. Our buns are all rolled, so we are gonna transfer them to a baking sheet, either lined with parchment paper or foil, and I sprayed a little baking spray on it just so it doesn't stick. But we're gonna put these on there a couple inches apart because we're gonna let them rise again and they'll puff up a bit. We're gonna cover them with a tea towel. We'll set them in a kind of warm area of your kitchen and let it rise for about 45 minutes to an hour. All right, our buns have been rising for about an hour. So we are going to brush them with just a beaten egg. Let's get it all around. This is gonna make them nice and golden brown. After that, we'll take a little bit of our pearl sugar, sprinkle a little bit of this on. This is difficult to find. They don't have it at like normal grocery stores. You do have to order it from Amazon or, actually I don't know where else you can get it, but Amazon. If you have bigger chunks of sugar, you could use that as well, like raw sugar works. Our oven has preheated to 475 degrees. We're gonna put these in for 10 minutes. All right, they're out of the oven and look how cute they look. Look delicious. We let them cool down for about 5 minutes. You don't want to eat them straight from the oven. All right, let's take a bite. They're kind of a little bit crisp on the outside, but super soft and buttery in the middle. You can really taste that butter flavor in the vanilla. They're delicious. As I said earlier, you could add cinnamon to this, cardamom, leave it like this, they're delicious. So as I was talking about, this is a staple in Swedish bakeries and homes. Every day they practice this thing called Fika, which is mid-morning, they all take a break with family and friends, enjoy a cup of coffee, and they always get the Bulla out. Now, if you're wondering what to make for Mother's Day, this is the perfect Mother's Day brunch idea. Bake these up and serve along with some hot coffee. I hope you guys enjoyed my Swedish buns recipe. The full recipe can be found on my food blog at logomeats.com. I've got new delicious dishes coming out every week, so hit a like and subscribe below. I'll see you guys next time. Hej då!